Alrighty, I'm just going to shut this so that the dog doesn't come running in. Okay, let's start seated tonight. So just bringing yourself to sit down, taking the hands onto the knees, and just then letting the eyes close. And just take an inhale, and I want you to draw your belly in as much as you can. And as you exhale, just let the belly go. So just releasing all that tension. And don't worry if the belly is out. Let it be free. And then just roll the shoulders up to the ears, squeeze them together, and then roll them down the back. And just do 3 more like that, just going at your own pace, rolling them up, squeezing them together, and rolling them down. Just kind of like massaging the week away. And on that last one, just let the shoulders be heavy. Let the chin slightly tuck. And don't feel like you need to change the breath at all here. Just take a moment to tune in. Taking a moment to just notice, perhaps if the breath is really shallow, maybe if the breath is quite long. Noticing the difference between the length of the inhale, the length of the exhale. And then just really nice and slowly, I want you to start to lengthen out the inhale and exhale. Almost like you're teasing, like kneading bread. At the beginning, it's really difficult. And you're trying to get it as stretchy and long and pliable as possible. To deepen our breath and really start to work with the powers of pranayama and breath work, it is a strengthening and stretching of all the muscles used for breathing, especially those intercostals which exist around the rib cage. And so we're going to work on a little bit of breath kneading, breath elongating. So we're going to attempt to get to a count of 12. So you're going to start at a count of 5. I'll guide you. And then we're going to attempt to get that to a count of 12, both on the inhale and both on the exhale. Now, the key to this is to imagine that you're breathing in and out of like a really tiny straw, like a straw in your nose, but you can visualize breathing in and out of your mouth. And if you can keep that thin bead of air coming in and out, it's going to be a lot easier. Where if you just kind of go and take in all the breath in, the first 3 counts, there's no way you'll get to 12. And that's the exact same with the exhale. So just preparing here. And we're going to inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In. 6. Out. 6. In. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In. 7. Out. 7. In. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In. 8. Out 8. Building to 9. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out 9. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Let's go to 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out 10. Do another one of that in 10. Out 10. Good. Let's go 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In 12. 4, 3, 2, 1. Out 12. 4, 3, 2. Let's do one more in 12. Out 12. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a nice big inhale all the way to the top. And then just open the mouth and sigh it all out. And just find yourself back to normal. Inhale and exhale. And just notice how you feel. You might feel a little bit lightheaded with those really long inhales and exhales. See if you maybe feel a bit frustrated that you couldn't get that high. Don't worry. Remember, this is all a practice. And then just gently flutter the eyes open. And we're just going to bring our hands together behind us, interlace the fingers, push the knuckles down towards the mat, and then start to bring those fists towards the right hip, just depending on how much space you have. And then you're going to drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Really nice stretch all the way along the left side. It's one of my favorite ones. And some of you might be able to get your fist like right in the nook of the hip. And some of you might not, that's fine. Go straight back behind you again, opening up both shoulders, and then hook into the left and let your left ear come towards your left shoulder. And you can kind of play around with the angle of the nose. You want to think about these like threads or fibers coming from the neck to the shoulder to the neck, and you want to find one of those guys that's feeling a bit tight, and you want to like, oh, really feel into it. Nice. And then take those hands behind you one more time. Reach, 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 knuckles down. Good. And then release. We're going to come into tabletop position. So just taking your block, if you were using one, in front of you, hands nice and wide. And then just start to rock forwards and backwards, maybe all the way into child's pose, and then come all the way forwards, feeling that stretch as you take the shoulders beyond those wrists. And just feeling in, knowing that if you're working with any kind of injury, you're just warming up, you're not taking anything too far. Nice. And then start to work on an angle. So drop your butt maybe towards the right and then come towards that left hand. And just play around with this kind of angled position for a moment. Just noticing how that feels. And then when you come to that left hand, swoop over to the right and then drop over to the left. So just doing angles on the other side, maybe feeling more into the side body. Good. And the next time that you drop your butt down to the left, I want you to swoop to the right. Then you're going to come across to the left hand, swoop to the right hand, and then swoop back. So you're going to be moving in figures of 8, okay? Now, don't worry about it being like a perfect figure of 8. And you can also just let your head go and just kind of move. It's one of my favorite. It's a little bit like a cat-cow. It's a little bit like a weird kind of tabletop. And then switch that figure of 8. So coming the other direction. I like to just think about like almost like painting away the week, painting away the stress, maybe more like a massage, but just kind of really kind of working it out of the body physically. Nice. And then eventually come all the way back. Your knees may have come a little bit wide of the hips. The hands may have come slightly forwards. Good. And let's just take a couple classic cat-cows. Belly drop, sit bones rise, gaze up. And then exhale. Whew. Taking it the other direction. Really starting to feel the core engage, especially on that cat pose where you push the floor away, feel the shoulder blades pulling away from each other, belly draws in. And then taking it the other direction. Nice. Coming back to tabletop here. Tucking the right toe and let's drag it behind us, not into the plant that's behind you, kicking into that heel, feeling that stretch. Then you're going to take your left foot out to the side, drop your right foot, and then bring your right hand up to the sky. Nice. Push the floor away. So we're going to juice up our shoulder joint. So I just want you to get comfortable with turning the arm bone in the shoulder. So just kind of turning the thumb from side to side and just feeling the bone of the humerus and the forearm moving in that shoulder joint. Our shoulders are wonderful. They've got loads of mobility. Good. And then you're going to start to bring that arm over the head. Take a nice big stretch. Press the outside edge of the foot into the floor. Good. Take an inhale here. As you exhale, look to the right corner of your mat. Reach, really stretch towards that right corner. Swing those fingers across the mat. Look to the hand as you bring it up and over the head as you inhale. So you're kind of like setting the sun and rising the sun. Exhale, really stretch to that corner. Bring the fingers along and then inhale, rising that sun up. Good. Nice. Coming all the way back up to the sky. And then we're going to switch it up. So take an inhale here. And as you exhale, look towards the back of the mat, reach the fingers. You're going to come forwards, reach, 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 stretch, stretch, stretch. As you inhale, really deepening that stretch along the side body. Do 2 more like that. So just sweeping the opposite way. Reach as if somebody's pulling you to the front of your mat. Good. Nice. Bringing that hand up, turn your chest up to the sky, reach almost as if you're trying to get to the left corner this time. And then close it back down, bringing the hand and the knee down onto the mat. So just going to go straight to the other side. So left toe is going to tuck this time, drag it behind you, kicking into the heel. Feel that really nice stretch. And then take that right toe out to the side. Drop the left foot. And just bring that left hand straight up. Again, let's just play around with moving the arm bone in the shoulder joint. So kind of moving from internal to external rotation. And kind of turning the palm one direction and then the other. And then we're going to go for that side stretch, bringing the arm over the head. Let your right ear soften, press left foot into the floor. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, go for that left corner. Reach, 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 reach. Sprinkling the fingers across all the way to the back, look up, inhale, take that arm high. Nice. So just moving organically like this. Finding that stretch. Noticing if, there's any sort of crunchy bits or weird bits in the shoulder as you move. Nice. And this time when you come up, you're just going to take an inhale at the top. And then as you exhale, we're going to switch it up. Opposite direction. So looking down, reaching the fingers forwards as if somebody's trying to pull you off the front of your mat. Inhaling all the way back up. Nice. Take 3 more like that. Trying to integrate the core and that stretch with your movement. Good. Bringing that arm up. We're going to start to turn the chest up, reaching for that right corner as if you're trying to go up and over the head. Nice. And then turn the chest down, hand comes onto the mat, knee comes back down. Straight to the other side. Right toe's going to tuck. We're going to drag it across the mat, kicking into that heel, and then plucking that toe off the floor. Nice. From here, you're going to bend your knee and then trying to get the thigh parallel-ish to the floor. If you're lifting the thigh and the hip starts to lift, then bring the hip back down. As if you're holding a plate on your foot, I want you to start to pulse that plate up and down. Try not to bow in the lower back. So try to keep the back slightly flat. So it might affect how high the thigh goes, and we'll just pulse for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten that leg, kicking into the heel, and then stepping right foot to the outside of that right hand. So coming into lizard. If you have blocks and you want to use them, go for it. Sink forwards and make sure that your front knee isn't overshooting your ankle. So I sometimes even like to walk my foot slightly forwards, but it's up to you. You just don't want the knee overshooting the ankle. And then from here, think less about rushing to get the forearms down and more about pulling the front of your chest, your sternum forwards. Try not to jut the chin forward so that you're creasing the back of the neck. So slight tuck in the back, slight tuck of the chin, stretch in the back of the neck. Just notice how this feels. Press through the big toe mound of the front foot. Just that whole foot is planting down, and just really think from that back knee to the crown of the head. You're trying to create more space, like these little pillows of air between each and every vertebrae. Nice. From here, walk your right foot in between your hands, and you're going to start to sit back into runner's lunge. What's going to probably happen here is that your right hip's going to come forwards and your left hip's going to come back. So even if you have to bend your knee, I want you to try to square the hips, okay? So you're pulling right hip back, left hip forwards. Again, if you've got blocks, feel free to use these. Inhale, find length. And just like we were doing with lizard, I want you to think more about the length from the butt to the crown of the head rather than driving the chest down. So it's like the ball of the foot and the chest are kind of both facing the same way, and they're in a race to see who can get further. Good. Breathe here. Nice. Okay, we're going to walk ourselves forwards again, and we're going to come into pigeon from here. So it's a little bit finicky, but you're going to kind of shuffle your right foot forwards and drop your right knee behind your right wrist. Okay, so right knee behind right wrist. And then tuck your left toe, lift your left knee, and slide the toes back. Drop the knee, untuck the toe. Inhale, find length. And then exhale, start to sink a little bit further down. If you feel comfortable in the forearms, take that. And again, just like before, crown of the head is coming forwards. Nice. Breathing. Pulling that heart forwards. Really thinking about length in this class. So it's not about kind of maybe even how far we go into the stretch, but it's about that space that we're creating. Nice. If you're down on your forearms, I want you to come back onto your hands and just pull that chest forward. So coming into like almost like a mermaid here. You're pulling that heart forwards, arcing the back. And then you're going to drop down onto your right butt cheek, and you're going to swoop your left leg forwards. Okay, so left leg comes forwards. We're going to come into that Janu Shasana. So flex the left foot. Inhale the hands high. Turn to face that left foot. And instead of working on that straightness that we've been doing in the spine, you're going to let yourself just round here. Okay, and once you come down, you can let that left foot be soft. Take one inhale for me, lengthen, lift the chest slightly. And as you exhale, almost like you're kind of fluffing a duvet, do this maybe 3 times. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, lowering down. So just try 2 more of those. Like a really slow motion fluffing of a blanket. And on that last one, just hang out here. So Janu Shirshasana translates to head knee pose or knee head pose. So you're kind of imagining that you're trying to get your head to connect to your knee. This is a lazy way of coming into the pose. In actuality, we don't ever really want our head to connect to our knee. We want our head to go beyond the knee when we're working on a really straight variation of this pose. Good. Turn the palms to face down, push into the floor, help yourself back up. Taking that right hand behind you, point your left toe, and let's just come into a little half wild thing, lifting those hips, finding that really nice stretch, very similar to what we were doing at the beginning. And then lower back down. Good. Keep your right knee exactly like it is. You're going to grab your left leg. Now, if it's possible, you're going to cross the left leg around the right. If this is too intense, all you're going to do is straighten the right leg, okay? Because we're coming into a twist. So from here, left hand comes onto the mat, either the left leg straight or bent, bringing that right hand high, and then either just hugging the knee, or if you have the space in the spine, do a little cross. Either option is fine. Inhale, find length. Exhale, twist. Head and neck will be the last part of the body to kind of turn. If you have both legs bent, what I want you to do is try to sink your left butt cheek towards the mat to the best of your ability. Couple more breaths here. It's a Friday night, so if a corkscrew, uncorking a bottle of your favorite kind of wine is a good reference for you right now, then go for it. And then slowly start to unwind. Just look over the right shoulder, counter rotation. Okay, so we are going to come into now double pigeon with our right leg on the bottom. So it's like you're not really changing the leg. So right leg is going to be on the bottom. Now I'm going to demo with a block and without a block. You'll see how tight I am. Your right shin bone, I want you to, your foot's probably close to your pubic bone. I want you to pull your foot away so your leg is more parallel with the front or the side of your mat. Left leg, okay, if you can, you're going to bring it on top of the knee. Now you can see how high my knee is. Some people's legs will just come on top of each other. We're basically doing exactly what I'm doing with my arms. You're not bringing the hands, or the feet rather, towards the pubic bone. You want them to almost be stacked directly underneath each other. Now, if you're like, oh my God, you look like me, what's going on? A nice way to make this less intense is to wedge a block underneath the bottom knee. Okay, I might even take it higher today. Remember, this is nurturing. It doesn't have to kill you. If you're like, this just is not my vibe, again, straighten the right leg, okay? From here, hands either behind you. If you are very tight, okay, so if you look a bit like moi and you're very tight and you can't straighten your spine, if you're doing this, hands behind you, work on straightening the spine and just start to bring the legs further down. You can bring the hands to the sides. If your legs are kind of coming on top of each other quite easily, you can reach forwards. I'm nowhere near there, so I'm kind of hands behind me, working on straightening my spine and just finding some space in my hips. I have been working on getting my hips more flexible since I started yoga, and they've got lots more flexible, but I think I'm always going to be limited, and that's just my body. Hips are a wondrous thing, but they're very unique. Everybody's hips are completely different. And a lot of the yoga that you will see on Instagram, online, is a lot about hypermobility, okay? And hypermobility just means that people are really, really flexible. It also is very detrimental in lots of ways to those hypermobile people. So be happy with what you've got. Don't wish your body to be something it isn't. Good. Okay, from wherever you are, just start to take the weight back. Uncross the feet. Place the feet onto the floor. I don't know why my webcam keeps going there and back. And then windshield wipe those knees from side to side. My webcam just isn't playing ball today. Nice. And then from here, all you're going to do is cross the legs, roll over the knees, and come back into tabletop. Because what we do on one side, we have to do on the other. So finding that tabletop position and getting ready for lizard. So left toe tucks, drag it along the mat, kicking into that heel. Feel that really nice stretch again. Good. Plucking that foot off the mat. So trying not to bow in the lower back here. Keep the belly engaged. Start to bend the knee. Again, don't try to get the thigh high if it means that your hip has to open. Just go to where you feel like the hips are square. And then we just start those little baby pulses. Okay, getting some booty work for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Straighten out that leg. And then you're going to step that foot to the outside of your hand. Start to sink forwards, getting into that lizard pose. So again, blocks, if that feels good, watch that front knee. You don't want to be lifting the heel of the foot or having the knee go past. Press the big toe mound down so you've got that whole circumference of that front foot planted. And then instead of just letting the chest drop, find that pride through your chest. Find that lift, that space. If the chin's jutting forward, slightly tuck. And just think about the very crown, the very top of your head, drawing forwards. And if you want to think about sinking down anywhere, the pelvis or the hips are sinking down. Nice. And then from here, just 2-step that left foot into the center and start to sink back, okay? Again, we don't want the hips all kind of wonky. So even if you have to bend the left knee, pull your left hip back, right hip forwards. Blocks are there if you need them. Flex that foot. Instead of driving the chest down, send the heart forwards. Inhale, find length. Exhale, just try to find that stretch. Now, if the heel's driving down and we pull the left butt cheek back and we send the weight back, we're really stretching that hamstring. Doesn't matter if that knee is not totally straight. You're still getting the stretch. Sensation over destination. Nice. Welcome yourself forwards. So pigeon pose, a little bit finicky, but you're going to start to walk your left foot to the right and drop your left knee behind your left wrist. I like to tuck my right toe and slide my toe back. This sinks my butt back and I get into the stretch deeper. Then I drop my knee and tuck my toe. Inhale, think about that length in the spine. And then exhale, start to find your pigeon pose. Again, if you want to keep the chest off the floor because you're like, I actually really enjoy this space that I'm creating in my spine, I'm going to keep it up, go for it. Growing through the crown of the head. And just closing the eyes here. See if you can find a nice slow inhale and exhale. All that space we created at the start with those really long breaths. And then just start to lift the chest, lift the heart, come onto the hands. And before we move, just stay here for a moment. Think about pulling your sternum, your chest forwards, finding this length. And then gently, you're going to start to tip over onto your left butt cheek. And this time, right leg is going to come forward. So finding that Janu, head to knee pose, knee to head pose. Okay. Nice engaged foot to start. We're going to lift our hands, turn our torso, and then we're going to literally kind of collapse over that leg. Now let the foot be soft. And then like we're trying to get some air into a blanket, fluffing it up. Just do nice 3 inhales, lifting. Exhales, floating down. You can keep your eyes closed. Just see if you can let gravity grab a little bit more of the upper portion of the body.
And see if you can bring it closer to the thigh, the leg, the ground. Good. Pushing into the hands, helping to lift yourself back up. So left knee, if you can, you're going to keep it put. You're going to grab that right foot. And if you've got the mobility, you're going to hook it over. If you're like, no way, Jose, that's not happening for me, just simply straighten out the bottom leg. Then from here, you're going to take your right hand behind you and you're going to lift your left arm, either wrapping or crossing. Inhale, find length. Exhale, start to twist, looking over the shoulder. Now, butt cheek, if both knees are bent, you're just trying to tease it towards the floor. Don't worry if it's not touching. Some teachers will teach this. If your butt doesn't touch the floor, then you can't do it. But like if you can get your legs in this position and the pose feels good, I really don't see what the problem is. It's just down to mobility and flexibility. But sometimes the size of your booty, but I got a big bum and my bum cheek doesn't always touch. Nice. Okay, just twist the other way. So just hooking right elbow, look over left shoulder. Good. And then we've got my least favorite, double pigeon. So this time left leg is going to be at the bottom. I like to bring my foot forwards. Okay, it's much easier if the foot is in, but we're looking to have this be quite an intense pose. Right leg is going to come on top. Okay. You might be wearing that knee like a chin strap like myself. Okay, you can grab a block and place it underneath the bottom knee. This will help. Then find a straight spine. So if you're really hunching, hands behind you or beside you, find that length. Think about boom, like a weight coming down on those legs. And maybe you hinge forwards, maybe you don't. Okay. Sometimes I teach a class and people just literally fold into this, like there's nothing stopping their hips. And sometimes people can't even cross. Remember, if you can't get that, if the ankle's really bugging you, and that's where often it really gets tight, then just straighten that left leg. You'll be able to fold over more. You might even want to gently press into that knee to open it. Good. See if you can do 5 more big breaths here. And just always thinking about that length that you're creating in the spine. Good. Okay. So to come out of this, the easiest way is to take the weight back. Legs sometimes feel a bit weird. Once the legs are uncrossed, then just take that windshield wipe. Nice. Just letting it go. Good. So shuffle your bum back, straighten the legs. We're going to come into this just like we did with that Janu. So straight legs. If you want, you can have a block nearby. Hands are going to reach high. Big inhale here. And as you exhale, you're going to start to surrender. And as you do, you're going to let those feet go soft. And then you're going to fluff that blanket again, inhaling to find length, thinking about stretching that spine. And as you exhale, come down. Just do 3 more of those. Each time that you come to the top of that fluffing of the blanket, try to grow the crown of the head towards the toes. And you're going to feel this really nice. We're getting our body all fluffed and prepped for the weekend. Getting rid of that stagnant week, and then just whoosh, let yourself go. Now, if you do have a block nearby and you fancy giving yourself a little pillow, then you can rest your head on top of the block. Otherwise, just chill. Let yourself suspend. And don't worry if the belly's there, okay? You can't very well take your belly and put it on your back when you're doing these poses. So don't hate on it. That's where it lives, okay? You're the one putting your body in all these weird positions. There's not anything that your belly can do. And then just plant the hands into the mat. Use the arms to slowly start to bring yourself back up. Coming all the way up. Good. Moving the block out of the way. Shuffle your ankles so they're coming just off the top of the mat. Reach the arms forwards and create like a really big capital C with your body. Draw the belly in as if it's trying to come out the spine, and then start to lower. And we'll just lower nice and slow. You take your time, trying to get the spine to connect vertebrae after vertebrae. And then bringing your arms over your head. So we're going to take a little banana pose. I'm just going to hold my mic so my one arm's not going to move, otherwise it gets all muffled. So start to walk your ankles to the right corner of your mat. And you're going to hook your right ankle on top of your left. Now use your right foot, and see if you can just bring your left foot a little further over to the right. Try one more. Hua. Good. And then your right arm's going to come over your head. My arm's going to stay put. Grab a hold of your left wrist, take an inhale, and as you exhale, start to pull your left wrist over to the right. Now, if you can, keep your left butt cheek down rather than kind of turning the body on its side. We've done a lot of really nice work tonight along the side body and into the spine. Nice. And then just gently release. And I want you to come into what's called pentacle pose. So you're going to take the legs maybe slightly wider than Shavasana, arms slightly wider than Shavasana, and just feel into your body for a moment. So in Yin Yoga, this is a really slow form of yoga that's targeting connective tissue. In between the poses, most teachers will instruct a pentacle-like pose, a pause pose, where you tune into kind of what's happening, how it feels. So we learn, we tune in. And then let's take it to the other side. So walking that right foot over to the left, hook your left foot, and then maybe a couple little hops using the power of the left leg to pull the right leg over. And then bring the right arm up, grab a hold of that right wrist with your left hand. Big ol' inhale here, exhale, pulling the top and the bottom of the body over to the left. Feeling that stretch maybe into the right hip, the right waist, the right ribs, the armpit, the shoulder, maybe just everywhere. Big old party on the right-hand side. And then release and just come back into that pentacle pose. So slightly wider than Shavasana. Take the limbs a little bit wider than you would in a Shavasana pose, and just be quiet for a moment, tuning in. And then just start to bend the knees and just collecting the limbs into the chest. And take a little rock from side to side here. So just massaging out the lower back. Nice. And then we're going to start to move in a circle. So you're going to inhale, slowly start to extend the legs away from you. Arms are going to lengthen. And as you exhale, I want you to squeeze the belly, push the lower back into the floor, and draw the knees in. Inhale, sending the legs away from you, straightening the arms. And as you exhale, think less about the knees moving and more about squeezing the belly, pushing the lower back into the floor. Take two more this direction. As you inhale, legs go away, the belly softens. As you exhale, knees come in, belly engages. Nice. Bringing it all the way in and then switching it up. Good. I've got a very creaky floor. If you can hear that, I'm sorry. Nice. And the next time that you draw those knees in, I want you to wrap yourself into a super tight ball, bringing those knees in towards the chest, head towards the knees. And then exhale, begin to unwind into your Friday evening Shavasana. Play around with this Shavasana. If you have blocks, you can take the blocks under the knees and support the lower back. You might take a block under the head, give yourself a little pillow, or you might just take that classic Shavasana shape. Shavasana translates into corpse pose. You could see it as being quite morbid, but I think that this Shavasana is sort of a representation of the cycles that life goes through. Okay, we're at the end of a week, heading into the weekend. So it's, the cycle or the death of the work week, the death of, the 9 to 5. I'm sure we'd all like to say goodbye to that forever. And in our Shavasana, it's almost like the death of the practice that has just gone by. Not in a dark or morbid way, but almost in a ceremonial way. So just allow yourself to say goodbye to whatever's just happened, say goodbye to whatever's happened in your week, and just be still. And then coming out of this death, we start to deepen our breath again. Waking ourselves back up. After all of the hard work's been downloaded, we prepare for whatever's next in our day, in our week, in our life. And then gently rolling over into what's called embryo pose. So rolling onto one side or the other. And this sort of mirroring the stages of life. So finding this embryo pose and keeping the eyes closed so that this darkness, before we open our eyes to the next part of our life, we gently push ourselves up into a seated position. Again, keeping those eyes closed if we can, but maybe noticing if more light is entering, if we're more aware of our own bodies, of the space that we're in. And just taking a nice stretch, we reach the arms over the head. And as the palms come to touch, this spark of life brings some gratitude into ourselves, into our practice, dropping the thumbs to the space between the brow for kindness and thoughts, to the lips for kindness and words, and then resting at heart center for you to carry kindness, compassion, and action into your evening and into your weekend ahead. Opening the eyes. Well done, guys. Namaste. Well done. Hope you enjoyed that.